Hey guys, welcome back. I am Ivy Alive. I'm an illustrator full-time, and this is my 2024 financial roundup for the business. Basically my whole life I thought that I would be like a starving artist if I went down the art path career, and I've been just amazed that that hasn't been the case. I've been making a living wage off my art alone since 2022. At the end of 2023, I posted a reel on Instagram that was like my monthly net over the year, and that was my best year to date. And it got really positive feedback, a lot of questions. So I thought this year I should go a little bit deeper into all the little nitty-gritty details. If you don't want to hear me blab, I am gonna split this video up into sections, so you should be able to skip ahead to what you want to know. But I am going to use this video as a time to reflect a little bit on the last year and also just think about my plans going forward into the new year. So a little bit about me. I am the most Capricorn-y Capricorn. I care a lot about finance and business, like those are my interests basically. And I also love digging into personal finance videos, but I admit I don't watch a lot of business finance videos because so many of them are titled like, I made $150,000 as an artist and you should too, and here's how I did it. My art is so tied up in my identity and just like my personal feelings that I don't always want to hear that I could be doing better. So I want to start this video by just affirming that everybody's numbers are different. There are so many factors that play into how much money you're making doing a creative thing, and it's also okay to just put different weight into different parts of your life, and that doesn't make your creativity any more or less valuable. Just the numbers are just numbers. They're there for data. They're not there to make you feel bad. That said, there is a basic amount of money that everybody needs to live comfortably, and I put a lot of energy into reaching that base steady level, but after that my interest kind of drops off a lot in terms of always reaching for like higher numbers and things like that. What matters to me in my life is wanting my career to be something I'm really proud of, and if I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and if I'm also doing justice to my life outside of my career. So why am I even doing a roundup? Part of it is just that people ask me still all the time if I'm making a living doing what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And I find the numbers really fun to look at, and I'm always curious about what other artists are doing as well. So if I can share something that's informative, why not? For 2024, my main focus financially was home ownership. At the beginning of 2024, I was still living in my parents' basement, which is chill, you know, no shade, but I definitely was focusing a lot on getting out of there and just kind of going grind set crazy while I still had the privilege of, you know, not having rent to pay for. I was like, I'm gonna need the down payment, all this money for the move, and maintaining a safety net for once I'm there, and like I don't know how everything's gonna transition. So this last year was definitely like, I'm going freaking hard. So let's dive into how I did month by month, and then I'm gonna break down the different categories for income and expenses. Some of you guys might be just listening to this, so I'm gonna give you a heads up that I am putting number information on screen for this because just reading out all these numbers is annoying. So I'm just gonna give you the monthly net number for each month audibly, and then we are gonna give for the year categories down the line a little bit. We're gonna break down that. But here we go. So January monthly net, $5,083. In February, net, $20,400. March net, actually in the red, so minus $2,067. April net, $2,703. May net, $16,549. June net, $2,179. July net, $7,423. August net, $15,596. September net, $840. October net, $5,255. November net, $2,205. December monthly net, $4,044. So my net pre-tax for the year, $79,249. Grand total gross, $127,256. Grand total expenses, $48,007, not counting car miles, office square footage, and health insurance. So a monthly average net pre-tax, $6,604. Okay, are you still with me? I know that was a lot of numbers, but that information is all on the screen. I have the categories and all that stuff broken down a little bit. So if you really want to get into the data, I'm trying my best to give you what I can, but I would love to break down a little bit my yearly categories. So I'm going to move into this now, starting with expenses first. And I'm gonna go through the categories smallest to largest, so see if you can guess what my largest category is gonna be. Alrighty, we are starting it off small for promotional materials, aka just business cards basically. I spent $260. Next category, advertising, I spent $300. This was basically entirely for my Kickstarter campaign. I spent some money on meta ads. And I did this really stupid, frankly. There is a way that you can set it up so you know how many pledges you're getting from your advertising, but I couldn't figure it out, so I don't really know if this worked, but the campaign was successful, so I'm fine with it. Then we have subscriptions at $316. This is basically just my Adobe subscriptions and video editing. Like I paid for CapCut on my phone for a little while. Then we have ink and paper as kind of like separate but together categories. So ink, I spent $1,004 and paper $1,375. So my total prints done at home cost was $2,379. Next up, we have packing materials. That was $2,358. So that's just mailers, boxes, other packing materials like backing, sleeves for my prints and things like that. Then we have shipping services at $3,950, and that was all done through Pirate Ship. Highly recommend them. All right, we're moving up into office goods for a total of $5,101. So two big notable purchases in this category this year. One was that I moved and furnished the office that you're looking at right now. Most of that was just IKEA furniture, so my budget was roughly $1,300. And I also invested in the new iPad Pro, which I had been really wanting. I do all of my painting on the iPad, so having the latest and greatest feels very special, and that was roughly $2,300. The rest of this category just goes into restocking things like pens, tape, like scissors, you know, just like little office things that you need. Then we have convention expenses. This was $6,181. This is for all the table fees at conventions. I did 15 conventions last year, and my average table fee was about $412. The highest was for Gen Con, that was $737. The lowest was $40 for a local college convention. Then we have travel expenses, and we are at $12,182. This was primarily traveling for conventions, with the exception of going to the Fantasy Art Workshop Illustration Intensive in Milwaukee, which had a $1,200 entrance fee. That means that my average cost of each trip was $682. Then we have custom material at $14,711. So this category includes all of my manufacturing costs for the merchandise I can't make at home. So that's blankets, enamel pins, stickers, playmats, custom bags, things like that. And the blankets alone were $7,000. So that was definitely a big chunk of that. By the way, I do want to mention that if you're just getting into this kind of stuff, like, and you're trying to get an idea of how much these things cost just to start up, I'm just kind of letting you get an idea for, if you're at this level, how much I'm paying. Okay, so that was my largest category, and now we are moving into income. I play with these things all the time, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna do the same thing, so see if you can guess. I'm sure you probably can guess what my biggest income category is. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about what worked in 2024 and my plans moving into the next year for my different income sources. Alrighty, so we have to start off with Patreon, only $356. I started this in late 2020 and I closed my Patreon and people still are like, oh, I missed the Patreon. It was great while we were doing quarantine. I had a lot of time to just, have that kind of rigid structure, but now I'm traveling all the time and I just can't even keep it up. So, I just want to say thanks to everybody that did support it because I did have a blast there. But on to the next thing. Next category, we have commissions and zines. I made $691. I haven't really been taking commissions for quite a while now, and I'm pretty much happy with that because I'm able to live comfortably off of my original art, which is like a dream. But I would really like to work on some more like dream project kind of stuff, especially cards for like Lorcana or Magic the Gathering. So I'm just putting that out there into the universe for the coming years. The next category is a bit of a weird one, but it is included in like the tax calculation stuff, so it's in here, and that is room and ride sharing. That was $4,104. If you are planning to get into conventions, I cannot recommend enough being friendly with your fellow artists. I mean, it might not happen right away, but if you can make some friends, then you can definitely save some money by sharing hotels and ride shares and things like that. So I definitely save a lot doing that. Next up is consignment. I did $8,855. This is a newer category for me and I am pleasantly surprised with how well it did, and I'm absolutely going to keep expanding into this if I can. It was a little bit of a weird year because Hurricane Helene hit Asheville, which is where I had 2 locations, and one, the building like washed away basically. With all my stuff, so that is totally lost for now. I mean, I hope that they reopen, and I donated to them. Art Garden. I don't know if their GoFundMe is still open, but check it out if they are. Probably could still use support. I don't know. Then I had another location, Woolworth, that had, took a big hit because obviously nobody was coming to Asheville after that happened. So a bit of a weird year, but still did pretty good, all things considered. All right, then we got Etsy. That was $10,959. This site is a dumpster fire, but I'm pretty happy there still. It's definitely a lot easier than running my own website was. I did have a personal shop hosted on Wix for a while, which is probably not anyone's recommended like shop host anyway. But I definitely find Etsy worth it just for the SEO and not having to worry about all the tax stuff. So I'll stay there for now. All right, then we got Kickstarter at $15,657. I ran my second Kickstarter campaign for my Fae Galaxy collection, which focused on woven blankets. Okay, I have to plug. You've seen it, probably. That campaign was definitely successful. I'm kind of working my way up on Kickstarter because I one day want to have a tarot deck there, and I really need that to be like a big earner because my timeline for the project is like 3 years, and I want it to be like, my magnum opus or whatever. And I'm not quite ready for that yet. And I know I'm not because, I need you guys to trust me and see that I can fulfill these big projects and make something beautiful. So I'm just kind of working my way up on Kickstarter, and I do have plans for another one. Hopefully this summer, I will be working on a playing card deck and accessories related. So please keep an eye out for that. Licensing, we have $22,936. Thank you guys so much. So licensing has been awesome for me. I have kind of 2 big sources for this. One is Diamond Art Club. That community is just amazing. I think that my work translates really well into diamond art. And like I said, you guys are just so sweet. I never thought that there would be so many YouTube videos of people unboxing my stuff from Diamond Art Club. Every time there's a new release of my work, I read all the comments and I look at the reviews and I look at your beautiful completed diamond art, and I just love it. So I really hope that I can just keep working with them and that you guys continue to like my work there. So I have that, and then I have my agent. He does most of my puzzles, and then other little things, cross stitch kits, fabric. I can't even remember all the things. There's so many now. I didn't have a ton of time to work on new stuff for licensing. Like I usually try to have 2 puzzle designs out a year, and I kind of only finished like 1. Then the final category, biggest category, conventions, we have 63,692. In 2024, I did 15 conventions, and I mostly worked them solo. So that's a lot. I did hire a helper for Lightbox and Gen Con, and I also drove to every event except for Lightbox. I just felt like I was driving and was away from home all the time. Definitely will keep doing cons in 2025, but I think I'm gonna ease off the gas a little bit and try to make things a bit easier on myself, maybe fly to more shows. I am really excited for this new year. You know, a lot of changes have happened for me. I closed on my house in June. I moved in like September-ish, and I've just been settling into my new life and my new house, and just, it's a bit of mixed feelings because I am really isolated here. I'm living like an hour away from the life I knew, and it takes time to make new friends. I'm feeling really comforted and like drawn to just working on things that are familiar. Most of the friends that I see at cons, like I'm still gonna see them obviously because we travel all over the place and see each other. So I'm finding a lot of comfort in focusing on my work, and I think it's gonna be a really good year for my career. Maybe a little bit of an awkward one for my personal life, but hey, it's transitional, so it's fine. Monetarily, let's compare a little bit. My total income increased about $13,000, so I am going from $66,528 in 2023 to $79,000 in 2024. $5,544 monthly average pre-tax in 2023 compared to about $6,583 in 2024. Even though the increase was great, I definitely took on a lot of work. I don't think that's going to be sustainable for me in the long term. I would be fine with taking a bit of a reduction in the next year. I don't need to always be like, oh my god, let's hit 100. I'm like, fine. I think I'll be happier if I'm just doing a little bit less hectic traveling and I have a little more time at home to create. I've been talking a lot about myself. If you've made it this far, thank you. I hope that something has been helpful to you, insightful in some way. If there's anything I've learned in 2024, it's that income sources can definitely die, and sometimes in an instant. Helen happened. I was usually getting like maybe $1,000 from consignment a month, and all of a sudden that was just like gone. That's so scary. And we know from things like COVID that cons aren't permanent. Just things are really changing. Social media is changing. And I think we need to be more on our toes than ever about getting innovative. And I find a ton of comfort in knowing that I have these different streams. Diversification is the key to longevity. Thank you so much if you have made it to the end of the video. I would not hate it if you gave me a little like, even though I am not super active on this platform. You can find me elsewhere. Just the social media scape is hell right now. So just know that I'm out there in the ethos creating things, and I hope you stumble upon me, however that so happens to work out. And if you liked it, you know, let me know. Maybe I will be back with another roundup next year if you did. And I hope you guys have a wonderful and productive 2025, and this gets you thinking a little bit about what you can do in the new year. See you next time. Bye.